Hi, we're going to be talking about another way that we can look at ratios and put them on a double number line in order to show us how they will be equivalent. A double number line is nothing more than a number line that has a different scale on the top from the bottom, and it's used to find equivalent ratios. This is just another way of using a graphic organizer, just like the tape diagram that we used, to show us what is equal in ratios. The first problem we're going to do is it says each egg carton can hold a dozen eggs. If there are 6 cartons, how many eggs are there? So remember, we're going to come over here and let's put cartons up here. We have to label each one and the number of eggs. We always are going to start out with 0. Do not forget that. Put 0 as your first line. And I know if I'm looking at cartons, it's asking for 6 cartons. So I'm going to label 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we're going to draw another one 6 here. Now I know that when I have got a dozen eggs, it tells me that each carton holds a dozen. A dozen is 12. And I'm going to go up by 12 each one. So I'm counting up by 1 each one of these, and these I'm counting by 12. So I'm just adding 12 to each one. 36 plus 12 is going to be 48. 48 plus 12 is going to be 60. And 60 plus 12 is going to be 72. So if it comes over here and says each egg carton can hold 12 dozen eggs, how many are in 6 cartons? I'm going to look over here, and I know that there are going to be 72 eggs total in 6 cartons of eggs. Let's look at number 2. An insect has 6 legs. Therefore, how many insects would have 30 legs? So I'm going to come over here and put insects. And down at the bottom, we're looking at their legs. So we're going to label both of these, and we're going to put 0 and 0 right here at the front of the number line. If I'm looking at insects, I'm looking at 1 insect, 2 insects, 3 insects, 4, 5, and 6. And we know that each insect has got 6 legs. So we're going to do with the legs, they're going to be 6, and we're going to go up by increments of 6. Intervals of 6, so this would be 18, 24, 30, and 36. Okay, so if it says if I have how many insects would equal 30 legs, so I'm going to look at the legs down here at the bottom, and I know that there will be 5 insects will have 30 legs. So your answer would be 5 insects. Just another way to graphically show what each one means. Let's do problem number 3. It says if 1 foot of chain equals 2.4 pounds, how many feet of chain will weigh 12 pounds? So we're going to put feet to pounds. So I'm going to use the LBS as the stands for pounds. I'll start with 0, 0. Now I'm looking at 1 foot, 2 feet, and so on. Let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm just counting the number that I have up here. If I know that 1 foot is going to equal to 2.4 pounds, I'm going to go up each increment by 2.4. So 2.4 plus 2.4 is 4.8. 4.8 plus 2.4 is going to be 7.2. 7.2 plus 2.4 is going to be 9.6, and 9.6 plus 2.4 is going to be 12, and 12.4, okay, so I'm already at the 12, so I already know that this is 12 pounds. So how many feet of chains will it equal to 12? So I'm going to have 12, 5 foot of chains. So 5 foot of chains will equal to 12 pounds. And I would normally keep going, but I saw that I already had it there, so I stopped. Now these are going to be a little bit different, and this has a hint to it. It says find 20% of 50. Now, hint, since you are trying to find 20% of 50, then 50 is going to represent 100%. So we're going to come over here and we're going to put numbers and percents down here at the bottom, okay? We're going to start with 0. All right, now let's think about it. if 50 is equal to 100%, let's go down here and put, I'm going to go up in percents, 25%, 50%, 75%, and let's do this. Let's go 20%. Let's go in 20% increments. Okay, so I'm going to go 20 and 40 and 60 and 70, 80, I'm sorry, 80 and 100%. All right, let's do that. So if 150 is 100%, let's do 50. And I'm going to divide it into different groups of, if I'm going to divide this up into 5 different groups, I know that each one of these would have to be 10. So I know that this would start 10, 20, 30, 40, and 50. So I went up by 10 increments for each one of these. So if I want to know what is 20% of 50, I'm going to look for 20% of 50 is going to give me 10. So 10 is going to be 20% of 50. So it's just all in how you label your number line. Okay, let's look at our next problem, which is going to be problem number 5. We're still going to be working with some percents. So let's look at, it says, what is 75% of 60? So I know 60 is going to be, let's do the numbers here and percents down here. And I know that I'm looking at if 60 is going to be my 100%. So I'm going to come up here, and because it's 25%, I'm going to start at 0 like we normally do. I'm going to go up 25%, 50%. I'm going to go 75% and 100%. Now I know that 60 has got to be worth 100% because that's all I'm looking at. But it wants to know, what is 75% of that? Well, let's look back at the 50%. What is 50% of 60? Well, I know that to be half, or 30. All right? So what have I got in between here? I've got, if I'm dividing 60 into 4 equal parts, I know that that's going to be 15 per section. So I know that this is going to be 15, goes up by 30, it goes up by 15 is 30, and this is going to be 45. 45 plus 15 gives me 60. So if I'm adding 15 to each one, this would equal 60. Okay? So if I want to find out what is 75% of 60, I know that has got to be 45. And you would come over here and write 45. Okay? And you could even put is 75% of 60. All right. This one's going to be a little bit of a challenge, but we can still do it. It says, what is 51% of 50? Hint, 51% is the same thing as 50% plus 1%. So let's use 50% to be our 100%, okay? So we're looking at numbers and percents, and I'm going to find out what is 50 and 50% of 51. So I'm going to look at my numbers up here. I'm going to go all the way to I'm going to go all the way to 50. So let's count it as 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. And I know that this is going to be 100%. Okay. Now, what is half of, or I could easily, let's go back and do these. Let's go back and do these as 50% of 50. Let's do 5. Let's do 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, and I've got to extend this, and I'm just making it easy on us, 45, 50. All right, so if this is 100%, and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, I know each one of these have got to be 10%. So it's 20%, 30%, 40%, 50%, 60, 70, 80, and 90%. All right, I'm just cutting it down even more so it's easier. So if I'm looking for what is 51% of 50, I'm going to look at 50, the number 50 here. I know that's 100% of that. So what is 50% of 50? That 50% is going to be 25. All right, so I've got 25. So 50% is equal to 25%, or is equal to 25. Now we know that 1% is the same thing as 1 over 100, okay? So if I've got 1 over 100 and I am trying to add it to, if I'm trying to add it to 50%, I know that 50% plus 100%, 1%, will give me 51%. All right, so what is 1% of 50? So I know that if I'm looking at 1% of 50, I've got to say of is the same thing as time, so I'm going to put 50 over 1, and I know that I can cross-reduce. This 50 goes into 50 once, and 50 goes into 100 twice, so this is going to equal to 1/2. So 1/2 plus my 25, so it's going to be 25 plus 1/2 should equal to 25.5 is going to be what 51% equals. So 25 and 1/2 equals 51% of 50. This one was a little bit more, you had to do a little bit more math, but as you can see, this is the way we look at these diagrams to be able to tell with a double number line. It's just another way of putting everything into a graphic organizer so that we can see how we can break things down and find equivalent ratios. We're going to be do the rest of your paper that you've been given tonight, and we're going to be working with these tomorrow.